Okay. Dr. Rahul sir, please on your video. So good morning and welcome to you all in ICAR-DPR webinar series on eve of the Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav. As you know, we are celebrating 75 years of independence, and in these 75 years, our population of human beings or livestock quality has increased many folds, and to meet the requirement of increased population, and government itself it's not able to cater the need of livestock sector alone, and we have to work together with private sector to meet the requirement of the livestock sector as well as poultry. And today we will be discussing on this important topic, public-private partnership in the veterinary domain, with Dr. Rahul Srivastava. I think most of you might be knowing Dr. Rahul Srivastava. I welcome you, Dr. Rahul Srivastava, and also welcome Dr. R.N. Chatterjee, sir, Director of the Institute, and I welcome all the delegates from different parts of the country. I am seeing Sasidhar sir, Dr. Jay Kumar, Dushyant Sahu, and many more from ICR scientists from different institutes, faculties from SAU, veterinary officers from different states, and lot of people will be joined very soon. And before going further, I would like to tell something about Dr. Rahul Srivastava. Dr. Rahul is basically a techno-commercial background with master degree from veterinary medicine from IVRI and MBA in agribusiness management from Pantnagar University before joining World Organization for Animal Health in April 2020. He was managing One Health Support Unit of Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairy, Government of India. And the last 14 years, he worked in various public, private, and international development organizations in South Asia and Africa. Dr. Rahul has diversified work experience in private animal health organization, government organization, ICAR and different other organizations, international organization like ICAR-DPR, for veterinary business incubator established in Ghana, International Development Organization, Global Alliance for Livestock Veterinary Medicine, GALV Medicine, Edinburgh, and many more. Presently, Dr. Rahul Srivastava heading as a project manager in a public-private partnership in World Organization for Animal Health, Paris. As you know, earlier it was called OIE. And before hand over to Dr. Srivastava, I would like to request our director, Dr. R.N. Chatterjee, sir, to say a few lines for opening remarks. Sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Vijay. Good morning, all of you, all the participants, and special thanks to Dr. Rahul Srivastava. Probably we have got a good person today to deal with the subject, that is public-private partnership. As we know that we cannot go alone. Ekla chalo re, that was the that was given by Rabindranath Tagore. But in today's world, that may not be very much relevant. So we have to go together. So that may be from the public sector, from the private sector. Public sector also cannot go alone. Private sector also cannot go alone. And Dr. Rahul Srivastava, having the background of medicine, as well as being associated with the OIE, World Animal Health Organization, and he is dealing with One Health, that is the program that is going on in ICAR, ICMR, FAO is coordinating, and probably he is also involved in that aspect. And One Health means most are genetic diseases. So the genetic diseases that are being in this particular One Health program. But if we tell about the public-private partnership, that is not only the animal health sector, or that is not only the human health sector. That is maybe in different sectors, maybe feed industry, maybe other societal sectors, where the public-private partnership, that type of program that can be done. And in ICAR, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, for the last 10-15 years, this particular public-private partnership program that is going on. And our institute, DPR, Directorate of Poultry Research, is ahead of many other institutes in the public sector who are dealing with the public-private partnership mode. And there is a specific framework, specific rules under the ICAR through which we are doing the public-private partnership mode of program. That may be consultancy program, that may be contractual program. And these are mutually exclusive and mutually beneficiary. Both government sector, they are being benefited, and the private sector, they are also being benefited. And if we see the USA or maybe European countries, some of the developed countries, the most of the universities, they are being run by this particular program, public-private partnership. So we have to go hand in hand. And so far our institute is concerned, for the last 10-12 years, we are doing different programs under this PPP mode in the aspect of animal health, in the aspect of HRD, in the aspect of feed industry. So we are doing all these things in collaboration with the private sector, and they are coming forward. And very frankly speaking, we do not have that much, our scientists, they do not have that much of time, and we do not have that much of facilities through which we can incorporate all the private sector who are coming forward for different kinds of research. I'll just cite one or two examples. What is our major contribution under this particular program, public-private partnership program? Number one was, there are viral diseases. Being a man of medicine, Dr. Rahul Srivastava, he knows very much about different diseases related with poultry. And the first work that we have started in animal health aspect, that was related with CRD, chronic respiratory disease. And you know that in our country, Mycoplasma gallisepticum, that was recognized earlier, long back. But another organism is there, that is Mycoplasma synovium, that was not recognized by the government of India. So there was a need of a bivalent vaccine, and that is going on in different other countries where they are using the bivalent or the polyvalent vaccine for controlling the CRD. And from our institute, our scientist colleagues, they have worked on that, on Mycoplasma synovium, and finally they have proved that yes, Mycoplasma synovium is present in our country, in different parts of the country. Thereafter, the concerned company, they have developed the bivalent vaccine, and that is now being used in this country for poultry. Similarly, we are also working on IB, infectious bronchitis. As I am telling you, virus is having a small genome, so they can mutate very faster, at a faster rate. So infectious bronchitis, that is a new strain that has come up maybe last 5-6 years, that is infectious bronchitis nephropathogenic strain. So it was not there, and whatever existing vaccines are there, they are not working properly to control this particular disease. So we have also worked on this particular disease in collaboration with the health industry, avian health industry, and we have proved yes, there is a need of development of certain vaccine which can protect the nephropathogenic strain of infectious bronchitis. In this way, we are doing so much of work, and recently one more project we are going to get, of course that is being outed, the green signal should come from the ICR. There is a huge project by the multinational company, they are funding, that is on Marek's disease. So that work also we are going to take. And regarding the feed industry, feed industry, you know that there are some anti-nutritional factors in the alternative feed ingredients other than soybean and maize, whatever we are using in livestock and poultry. So other than those, maybe energy source, maybe protein source, there are many feed ingredients, alternative feed ingredients, where earlier up to certain percentage we used to use in case of poultry. But now the feed industry, they have come forward, they are processing the feed ingredients, means alternative feed ingredients, to remove the anti-nutritional factors, and they are coming to us and they are telling up to how much percentage this particular feed ingredient, maybe for energy source, maybe for protein source, in the poultry sector, commercial poultry sector in particular. So in that way, this particular institute is doing under this public-private partnership mode in both avian health sector as well as feed industry or the feed sector. And I profusely thank Dr. Rahul Srivastava for accepting our invitation, and he will deal with, I will not take much time, otherwise it will be a boring thing. So let him start, and he will deliberate on this particular aspect. And being a man of animal health, and who is also contributing on One Health aspect or One Health program of the Government of India, so it will be very interesting to listen him. And I request all the participants whosoever joining to listen this particular topic from Dr. Rahul Srivastava. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for setting the agenda of the today's discussion. Now I request Dr. Rahul to share the presentation. Dr. Rahul, please.
Namaskar, sir. Thank you, everyone. Good morning. So, Dr. Chatterjee, sir, this is really a kind of honor to be with you again because we have a couple of meetings together on, like industry, academia, research. So this is really interesting opportunity for me. And thank you, Dr. Vijay, for connecting through this virtual platform to our more professionals who can get benefit from the public-private partnerships. And I'm really thankful to Chatterjee, sir, by citing a very interesting, background. Actually, before joining World Organization for Animal Health in April 2022, I was working with Government of India on One Health aspect, and currently I am working on public-private partnership, like managing this project with my senior colleagues here at World Organization for Animal Health. So I will not take too much time. I'll try my level best to give you all the kind of perspective which is happening at global level. And as Dr. Chatterjee was telling, like in India, we are working on various front. Like I have seen the kind of research development, especially need-based research products, what research institutions in India has developed. And it's not only towards health aspect, but you are covering all the aspect like health, nutrition, management, especially in poultry, because it is the more organized sector. So in my today's discussion, I just modified my presentation a little bit while listening to Chatterjee, sir. So the whole agenda will be like to sensitize about PPP in veterinary domain, because many a times we talk and we know, like, okay, like in ICR, I also worked in ICR system during 2009 to 12, and it was precisely on intellectual property management, technology commercialization. So what Dr. was talking about, there is a kind of clear-cut chapter in PPP in agriculture, but I never found anything PPP in veterinary domain. So my today's talk will be primarily on PPP in the veterinary domain and how best any researchers, be it from India or from anywhere, any parts of the world, they can get benefit. So I'm just sharing the presentation, and before that, I'm just highlighting, like I have shared some of the links, which is very useful for you all. This is primarily covering all the aspects of like our work, what we are doing here at VOA. So in today's discussion, I just modified little bit. We will primarily talk about, because it's their entitled veterinary domain. So what exactly a veterinary domain is, because many times someone can confused, and what kind of different stakeholders are, and how our approach is towards like public-private partnership, and how we are building capacity worldwide. So first, like whenever we are talking about veterinary domain, so like while discussing with many professionals across globe, we feel like there is a need to clarify what exactly veterinary authority is, what are veterinary services, and what is veterinary domain, and how this public sector and private sector are integrating in the whole scenario. So with this illustration, I found it is very, very clear representation, where you can see we have clearly defined public sector, private sector, and the levels of this veterinary authority, veterinary services, and veterinary domain. So if I go one by one, what exactly veterinary authority means? So basically, it's a kind of part of public sector where it's a completely a government authority, like where we are having professionals, veterinarians, paraprofessionals who are having responsibility and competence for ensuring and supervising the implementation of animal health and welfare measures, international veterinary certifications, and other standards and recommendations, which is mentioned in our terrestrial code, like VOA, VOA terrestrial code in the whole territory. Now, talking about veterinary services, so here you can see there is a shift, like it's a kind of element of where we can have public and private sector both. So veterinary services are defined as like the government and non-government organizations that implement animal health and welfare and other standard recommendations in VOA terrestrial animal health code and VOA aquatic animal health code in the territory. Now, coming forward to veterinary domain, so it is a relatively bigger area. So many a times, like while you are dealing in poultry, you may feel like there are many veterinarians, or there are other nutritionists, or from human side, or from agriculture side. Like we need more and more collaboration, and more interactions are there. So veterinary domain is not only considering only very precise aspect which we have seen earlier, it is very wide. So veterinary domain is specifically mentioned in Article 3.4.2 of what Terrestrial Animal Health Code on veterinary legislation, like all activities that are directly or indirectly related to terrestrial and aquatic animal. And especially we need to mention this, like their product and byproduct, which help to protect, maintain, and improve the health and well-being of people. Here we can see like food safety is also clubbing with the animal health and animal welfare. So primarily, if you look, veterinary domain gives us a kind of very broad area of exposure or working, where we can work on different aspects, where animal health, human health, and what Dr. Chatterjee was also talking about, like it gives us a space to look beyond animal and food safety, and we are talking about overall health. And here also you can see the involvements are there from both the sides, public and private side. So going further, you can see like, okay, there are different kind of stakeholders where we can put in public side or private side. So I am just sharing a kind of list of stakeholders, or this illustrations give you a kind of variety of stakeholders who are involved in our veterinary authority, services, or domain. If you see it, like you will find there are many government agencies, especially we will start with the veterinary authorities. So you will find like it's not only like one area where veterinarians who are in government, they are working. There are various level of working, like veterinary inspection at market, fair shows, animal identification, census, outbreak investigation, border control and quarantine. They all are part of veterinary authorities. But at the same time, we also see like other public stakeholders are also important, because many a times we feel in veterinary domain we are chronically under financed. So how we can get more and more finance or attract more fund if we will not highlight the importance of like the entire livestock domain? So we have to have good understanding with Ministry of Trade, Agriculture, or especially the human health or livestock. So these kind of public stakeholders are involved. But at the end, like if you see like the kind of livestock owners, and if you see the developing part of world, or for example, if you see India, we have range of livestock farmers, starting from very big commercial sophisticated houses, and I'm sure like DPR is associated with many of them, who are having very good environment control poultry farms. But at the same time, you are also dealing with smallholder poultry farmers. At the same time, you are also dealing with backyard poultry farmers. And there are range of services which may require, because you cannot give same kind of services to others. So we need to understand the requirements of these different category of livestock owners. And at this, we also have pastoralistic system, so in other species. So these kind of stakeholders are also needed. Now coming to service provider, like local government veterinarians, milk collectors, private veterinarians, farm product suppliers, like where feed, equipments, medicine, everything is covering, inseminator and transports. These channel providers, they are also very much important, because many times we miss them. And unfortunately, due to this kind of negligence, we can compromise in extending the animal health services. I can give you example, like I have seen many of the places where we can have good product, we can
So
have
there
good...
is some issue in your voice. Kindly make correction.
Hello, Dr. Vijay, is it clear? Or
Voice is breaking. Please correct it.
is it clear, Dr. Vijay? Dr. Vijay, is it clear? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
So like I was describing about variety and diversity of stakeholders, and if you see, like we need to consider whenever we are talking about public-private partnerships, so we need to understand the kind of stakeholders who are involved into these who may be involved in these kind of partnership. Now coming to the next level, like how we are having OIE is approaching towards PPP, especially in veterinary domain. So it was like clearly mentioned in resolution 39 of 85th general session in 2017 about PPP and its possible exploration. And after that, lots of consultations happened worldwide with public authorities, with private experts, and we came to some brochures and typology in 2018 in 86th general session. And in 2019, we came up with a very good handbook on PPP, which is a kind of guideline for all kind of implementers or decision makers. And after that, we also came forward with the e-learning
Still,
module.
sir, voice is breaking, sir.
Is it clear now?
Sometime here, sir. Please check your audio system.
I'm not sure, like
something might be either.
I think it should be fine now.
Yeah, okay, sir. Please go ahead, sir. Please.
Okay. So now we came up with the objective of our organization. It is to support our members to develop, if and when relevant, sustainable PPPs to strengthen veterinary services. And it is a very clear-cut objective from our side. We are not pushing everywhere PPP, but wherever it is relevant and whenever it is required, then only we can go for PPPs. Because it has to have synergistic effect more than if any other party, like either public or private player, they are doing effort. So PPP has to achieve more than individual efforts. So if you see, like, because I mentioned PPP was first time described specifically in veterinary domain, so we required to have a kind of definition of PPP in our veterinary domain. So we came up with definition of, which is a joint approach in which public and private sectors agrees responsibility and share resources and risk to achieve common objectives that deliver benefits in a sustainable manner. So this is a kind of definition where we are working, and our entire approach is very systematic. Whatever we are working, it is in a kind of in consultation with the worldwide public authorities as well as private players, and we are getting
the information from them, analyzing and coming forward with some publication, which is quite available for all. And I think for DPR, it will be very, very relevant. So that I have shared the link of these two articles, which is a very, like very inclusive. Like if you see, like all the elements of PPP has been covered into these two publications. And you must be aware, we are having previous pathway system.
Some connection problem, Dr. Bijay?
Sir, just I cleared from our section, sir. It is a problem of our organization. Dr. Rahul, please continue, sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Vijay. Actually, that's why I was surprised, because I never encountered this kind of problem. But anyways, I have shared the links of all the documents and everything with you all, because technology sometimes it make discussions easy, and sometimes it's difficult. So I will go quickly so that we can discuss. So what I was telling, like we came up with the handbook and other stuff. It is not only to cover only executors, but the decision makers who are there at the top, who can decide what to act, where to act, because we are going in a very difficult area where we need quick responses. We are facing lots of pandemic. We are facing One Health challenges. We are also facing nutritional security. So world population is growing like anything. So we need to support all the food and nutritional requirements, and animal health sector need to come forward. And for that, these kind of handbooks and these material will help the decision makers and implementers. So who will be the decision makers? So we came up with this pyramid where we can have policy or a strategic leader, mainly the policy makers at the top, ministers or the chief executive or their advisors in veterinary domain, followed by executive leaders. So they may be chief veterinary officer of any country, or the CEOs of the private organizations, or the head of departments. They can be part of executive leader category. And there may be implementers who are genuinely working at field, executing all the activities. So these are the implementation leaders. And for everyone, you will find there is stuff for PPP in handbook. So I sincerely request you all, whosoever is interested from top to bottom, if you are interested in PPP, please visit our PPP handbook, as well as our e-learning module, which is not very lengthy, 1 hour or 3 hours. It will give you kind of exposure where you can act, how can you act, and the entire thing is clearly defined. So this is our PPP handbook. I have given the link, which is quite available, free to download, use it. And you may have one question like, okay, so we have these things, where to implement? So we have asked the same question to many private and public players, and we realized like these are the range of activities. This is I have taken from the publication, so it is quite available for you, but I am just highlighting one thing. If you can see, it is covering all the important aspect of animal disease diagnosis, to extending veterinary services, to disease prevention and control, even trade, export. In poultry especially, it is very much important. And veterinary public health, this is again a very important topic in One Health domain as well. And like farmer sensitization, awareness, and mobilization. So in all these areas, you will feel the PPP is quite recognized worldwide. I am not talking about only one country. So we just clubbed these benefits, and we realized after good services in diagnosis, treatment, vaccination, certification, breeding, and all these stuff, especially in other in policy development or abattoir, quarantine facility, we can achieve many benefits like disease control, food safety, public health, and all these things we have taken from the PPPs who are happening worldwide. So this is not theoretical. If anyone is thinking it's theoretical, it's not theoretical. I will share you the PPP worldwide database, which is open access. We have launched it this year, and you can go through, you can learn from that, and these kind of benefits will definitely help us in long-term impact, stronger economy, greater trust between players, and reduce business risk with good public health. And as Dr. Chatterjee was telling about the social issues, so we also have many development organizations. I have seen, like in Hyderabad or in Odisha, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, I've worked in those areas, and I found many development organizations, they are working, and we can also support them with this. So someone may think like, okay, because veterinary domain is very diversified, where to act. So in this handbook, we have also came across with this continuum, where you can see there are some areas where only public sector can dominate. There are few areas where private sector can do a great job. And at the same time, there are some areas where both can join and act together. And for the benefit of, implementation workers or the decision makers, we have categorized PPPs in 3 areas. One is transactional PPP, which is generally starting from the government side, from the public side, and they are extending or they are requiring some support from the private side, especially for sanitary mandate or healthcare services extension. And here we can have private veterinarians or private organizations who can support in that. There are collaborative PPPs, and especially I would like to highlight, this is more common in those commodities who are having export potential. And I think in poultry in India is also having a good potential, where collaborative partnership can be explored with joint commitment between public and private sector. And what Dr. Chatterjee was telling, I think there are few stories in collaborative PPP where you are having collaborative research project. So I think many things are happening in India as well, but because of the gap in this typology and our understanding, you may not have presented it to this level, or it is not part of this database as of now. So I would like to take this opportunity to ask you to come forward and to share your experiences in PPPs. And there are the third category where the initiative may be taken from private side as transformative PPP, where we can establish a kind of capacity which otherwise attainable through major programs. So there are the companies who are coming forward for either making new product or making, creating reliable supply chain of veterinary inputs in those areas. So these kind of publications are already there, and I have also shared the link with you all. And at the same time, I am sharing or highlighting very quickly about the success factor and obstacles for PPP, because it's not always to say very good thing about PPP, but what is the fact and where we can do best and where we should avoid our obstacles. We need to see that clearly, and this is also covered in publication. Like public player and private player both responded. What are the success factor and what are the obstacles? Here you can see that communication and trust and transparency, these are the key success factor. At the same time, it's an obstacle as well. Funding availability, what Dr. Chatterjee was highlighting, for resource constraint issues. It's not for for any one country. Worldwide, if you can see, there are challenges. That's why PPP is having more relevance. And very important, whenever we are having PPPs, it's public player who are at greater stake. So they need to ensure good management or good governance system, so that the common objective which has been decided by these agreements or the partnership arrangements can be made without any problem. So I will not take much time on this. Coming forward to the necessary requirements. Because many a times we feel, and generally you can find many good reports as well as some critics also who are putting question mark on PPP, which is quite common. There is no problem because we have seen PPP since long time, but it is first time we are applying in veterinary domain systematically. So we can eliminate these challenges or these obstacles very easily because we have background information. So that we have defined these 5 areas where we can work upon for successful PPP. There has to be mutual appreciation for respective benefit and goals. Common understanding has to be there for outcome, which is expected from the partnership. And respective roles has to be very, very defined and understood, because it should not be assumed. It should be properly defined. And committed resource, whatever we have done in this agreement or this association, it has to be properly met with efficiency, and good management practices are required. And if you see the leadership commitment, which is the key of the success of these kind of PPPs. So these things are necessary requirement for successful PPP. And without taking too much time in this webinar or this discussion, we can I can request you to come forward to take these two courses, which are very interesting. I can say I have also gone through this, and this is very eye-opening to see like what is happening in public and private space, not only in one country but worldwide, and how can we act upon. And this is like one course is of just 1 hour, and second one is of 3 hours. So you can take it by yourself, and where it has been clearly defined, like what is the process of establishing PPP, how to engage with the stakeholders, how to define PPP, how to initiate it, and especially monitoring and evaluation. And with this, you can achieve your agreed objective between both the parties. And as I was telling you, the benefits or the impact, what we have mentioned before, everything is there in our PPP database, and I have shared the link with you all. Please go through that PPP database, which is open access, and you will find very interesting stories from different parts of world, and it will help you in developing your own PPP projects. Not at the implementation level, but decision makers, they can also understand what is happening in this space, and the advisors who are also taking a very important role, they can also understand what is happening in other developing country or in other developed country, how to implement it, how to take it. And it is, we also understand it's not just copy and paste, it's like just information sharing what is happening in other space. Because before COVID, if you see what was different, we are in a very different space. We are talking about webinars over this virtual platform. So things are changing very fast. We cannot be very act in conventional mode. So you need to think what is happening in other space. And at the same time, I request Dr. Chatterjee to you, please share some of your stories PPP in this database, because it will again a learning point for other countries to explore how to go for need-based research and product development, how to do this kind of collective or collaborative works with industry. So with this, I'm just summarizing myself. We have seen these kind of activity, what OIE is working right now, and we are very much open to learn from every practitioner in this space worldwide, and we are also extending kind of platforms which can cross-fertilize the ideas. And PPP is a very, very evolving field, because now we are talking about One Health, AMR issues, transboundary animal disease control, or how to develop need-based product worldwide, how to sharing competency. Like this is really interesting area to explore. And it is also at the same time, I would like to say, it is not like a very new thing to say, okay, we are coming with a new concept, but yes, it is a very systematic approach where you can share your learning, you can get something from other examples, so that we can collectively grow and to strengthen our animal health and welfare practices worldwide. And you can contact us through this email, ppp@voa.org. All the relevant links I have shared in the link. I request Dr. Vijay, who can share with the participants with all. Now I think it will be good for open discussion. I'm resting myself here, open for queries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I'd like to invite participant to ask anything, to comment or any aspect in this regard. Before that, Mahesh sir has commented something in the chat box. I request Mahesh sir to say, to ask directly. Mahesh sir, please.
Sir. Hello. Hello.
Sir, please, sir.
Actually, I am traveling and I'm just not able to speak properly here. So, but this is a very interesting presentation and good program made. So, thank you very much, Rahul and DPR Poultry, Dr. Chatterjee and Dr. Vijay Kumar for organizing such a good program. So now it is a broad hint he has given. Now we have to develop how we can technical capacity for PPP mode, how we can go ahead with this one. So we have to work some Indian models, very good models, for which kind of services PPP would be effective. So now we need to work a lot in this. Some questions I have raised. So Dr. Rahul may give some ideas on this one. So we'll be happy to see. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think your questions are quite relevant. And as you mentioned about FMD vaccine availability in a country like India, where huge requirements are, and the second point about vaccination services, and the third point you just suggested for BAF model. So I'll go one by one. So regarding the FMD vaccine, or for any problem in a country, basically it's a call of that government system to how to best utilize available resources in the country, and how best you can explore other competencies worldwide. So in principle, I am sure it may be a very good model for FMD vaccine and its availability. And I'll share some of the work which is happening in Africa for FMD vaccine, ensuring quality vaccine, FMD vaccine. So why not? It can be a good area to explore this thing. But again, it has to be discussed and decided by the government agency. At WOA, only we are here to frame the guideline or to support the system, how to act in PPP domain. And as you know, we are having 182 members. So we are just giving our expertise on that aspect, but it's a call of the country. And the second question, as you mentioned, this is quite true. Private sector is often reluctant in public good, especially vaccination. But at the same time, that's the beauty of our PPP, database. We have collected all the PPPs worldwide, and we realized there are very good model. And I would like to highlight here, in Afghanistan, they had this vaccination and other primary animal healthcare services through PPP mode. And I'm really happy to share with you all, like, even though they have faced lots of political or this kind of security issues, still that model is working. So that's the beauty of PPP model, where every stakeholder if they are aligned, they are clear in their objective, it will be a kind of very sustainable model. But again, one model cannot fit everywhere. So it need to understand what is the problem and which problem is dealt by which player. So I agree with your point. There is reluctancy, but at the same time, we also have very good models. Like in India, also we've seen some of the project which is happening. And in other countries also, they are working. So, yes, sir. Yes, Dr. Vijay?
Dr. Mahesh ji. Dr. Mahesh ji. हाँ चलो ठीक है अभी ठीक है.
Dr. Rahul, this is Mishra.
Good morning, sir.
लगता नहीं है आप कुछ चल लीजिए क्या आपका.
Hi, Mr. Rahul. This is Mishra. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, good morning, sir. Yeah, sure.
Great to see you after a long time. I saw you last in IBR.
Same here.
And then you landed in the right place. It's quite an interesting lecture. I was trying to actually scan through whether you are talking about the animal husbandry sector. I think this, I did not find many examples in your talk. I had one specific question and I had two secondary questions. First of all, what Dr. Mahesh cited, the vaccination sector. Government of India and ICAR might have outsourced this vaccine production and distribution to private sector. But you see that that is not very inspiring. Dozens and dozens of complaints are coming regarding FMD vaccination, and you see that it is just failing. I don't know where it is not. It is failing to inspire. This PPP may not be able to inspire the FMD vaccination to be taken up that promptly through the PPP mode. That is one. Second is that institution like ours. Now you are listening, no? Institution like CARI and PDP, who are into making zero input system, germplasm for zero input system. And where is the PPP actually? Why not it is reaching the public as it should have reached? That means people are interested for this Devendra, CARI Devendra, this Banraja in dozens and hundreds and thousands. Why it is failing that people are not coming to take up? And where exactly Government of India is not able to see that it should reach actually? In Odisha, I see impoverished people aspiring to make some means out of rearing CARI Devendra or Banraja. They are not getting, and we are not able to do much because we are a government sector, deprived of money from many times. So why is this PPP model failing there, or are they not able to see through the requirement? What is your experience in Indian sector, Indian sector?
So thank you very much for this opportunity to describe one very important thing. I deliberately missed that element of describing various cases because we are having more than 100 cases which is mentioned in our PPP database. So you can find we also have handbook where we have selected few cases. There are 12 cases we have mentioned. So there are a range of activities where PPPs are working worldwide. And as I said, every country has its own challenges, its own, constraints, and positive things also. So it has to be call of that particular country how to go ahead with public-private partnership. And why to have these things? Why not other plural sector also, like the development sector also, they can also come forward for this thing and decide their own activities. So I will not able to clearly connect what is happening in India versus what is happening in Namibia. Because if I can give you one example of Namibia, in Namibia, they have created a kind of meat board of Namibia, where private producers, they are giving fund, and that fund is, and they are the private farmers, private association. And this fund is being used for, disease control. And I will give you the precise example for FMD they are working. So can you imagine like a country like India where we can have this kind of funding mechanism where the farmers can collect the money for the disease control, for vaccination services? Because that two different models are entirely different things. But yes, if Indian policymaker or private players or the community or the farmer association, they wish to learn what is happening in Namibia, how they are controlling FMD in their cattle, certainly you will get the idea. So I think I'm requesting with this question to everyone, if we can go through the PPP, this database, you'll find these kind of stories. And as you mentioned about FMD, Mahesh sir was also talking about FMD. I have given this example of Namibia, and it's a very good example where private players, they come forward and they started working to control this animal disease in collaboration with public side. It's not like they are doing by themselves, because it's a public player has to be involved. Now coming to your second point, and which is very interesting point, and I will not answer in the capacity where I am working right now, but as a professional who worked in India and especially in Odisha. So I completely agree with you. Like there are many research outputs which is coming from the research institutions, not going to the field. And what are the challenges, why it is not going, where we are lacking? I think these are the research questions, and primarily I found these questions are being dealt by development organizations who are working over there. I worked with Aga Khan Foundation, I worked with Heifer International, Heifer India, I also worked with Galmed, I also worked with Pradhan. And if you see, they are working on these kind of things. So if we are trying to find solution of these kind of complex questions, we need to have consultation from their working, how they are working, how commercial organizations are working. Like many integrators, they are coming to those areas and making the poultry farms in those areas. I have seen many efforts which is there in Jhabua. They were working on Kadaknath. So I found success and failure at the same time. In one village, I was there and everyone was very happy and they were saying, oh, it's very good, we are getting good return. But at the same time, there was one poultry farmer and he was literally, emotional and crying. He said, just after this, I will not grow Kadaknath. So it's not a very simple thing to find solution. These are the complex things, and you know it very well, because you cannot compare Odisha and Hyderabad. They are two different extremes. So approaches need to be different, and consultation with stakeholders, and especially these kind of diversified stakeholders, are very, very important. And while working in this space during 2014 to 18, I found these kind of things where they are doing really good job, like these kind of organizations at grassroots level. So if from start, these research institutions, like you mentioned, CARI or DPR, if you can have this kind of consultative approach, like, okay, how to go ahead with that, I think you must be having these kind of thing. So I'm not prescribing, it's just a suggestion based on my previous experience. So yeah, these are my two submissions, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. There is a question from Dr. S.A. Hamdani, and he's asking about, I think, a guideline of PPP on establishment of One Health institution or organization. So I'm just giving you this information. We are working in this PPP space in like the last few years, and we are trying to come up with PPP guidelines or experience learning or sharing platforms in different dimension, and One Health may be one aspect on that, because we are working on emergency preparedness. We are also working on AMR aspect. Like this is the ongoing work which is happening, but as of now, not on institution or organization establishment. So definitely these kind of working models or guidelines from us will help any stakeholder worldwide to establish this kind of One Health institution or organization. So this is my submission to the query in chat box.
I think Dr. Sasi
there. Sir, are you there, sir? Sasidhar, sir? I think he has left. Anyone would like to have any queries related to this aspect?
Dr. Vijay and Dr. Rahul ji.
Sir.
I have one or two, points or issues that I wanted to tell. As you know that this institute is doing under the PPP mode, public-private partnership mode, as per the rules of the ICAR for the last 12 years, as I have told earlier. But in my opinion, you know better than me, CSIR, DBT, DST, they are also going on, even Ministry of Information and Technology. They are also going on the collaborative research under the PPP mode. But I do not know whether it is there or not in our country. If any organization or any center that may be created where the government people will be there, where the people from the private sector will be there, and that type of system can we do in our country, so that the private sector, they will also say this is our problem and we want to fund it, and government sector, whatever institutes are involved in that related aspect, they can also tell that yes, we can do this type of research. So that is number one. I do not know whether it is there or not. As you know that One health aspect. Many organizations, they are working together. Even ICAR is also involved. AMR aspect, ICAR is also involved. That is a network project that is being, that is going on in collaboration with FAO as well as ICAR in Animal Science and Fisheries Division. And one health aspect, that is one institute that is going to, come up. That is NIOH, National Institute of Animal Health. National Institute on One Health. So probably that will come in somewhere in Maharashtra, either Nagpur or somewhere. So similarly, can we, because you are in the helm of affairs, you are collaborating between World Health Organization under the PPP mode and all that. So if we can do the same thing, if we can convince the government, if we can convince the Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, CII, so that we can have somewhere in the country, so that the public sector, they will also say yes, we can do this type of research, and private sector, they can also say yes, we need this type of thing. Although CSIR, they are basically for that purpose, but all the organizations, scientific organizations, even the universities, they can also come up and they can also tell yes, this facility we can give to the private sector. So that type of concept, I do not know whether that is there or not. Of course, this particular institute, and there are, I think, 10 to 15 institutes of ICAR. They are doing very good job on under the public under the PPP mode. Like there is one institute, CMFRI in Cochin, then CIFT, Central Institute of Fisheries Technology. They are also doing very good work under the PPP mode. So many institutes are doing, but mainly 10 to 15 institutes of ICAR, they are doing on PPP mode in a huge way. That is that many organizations are doing, but it should be in a huge way, so that both the private sector, the common people, the government sector, they can be benefited. In our country, fund is an issue for the government sector. So if private sector, whenever I go for any lecture or maybe any presentation, I try to convince the private sector, particularly poultry sector, poultry private sector, so that they can also give the fund for specific research, for a specific purpose, to both maybe this institute as well as Central Research Institute. So, or maybe other institute also of animal science. So funding will be there from the private sector under the PPP, under the rules and regulations. We can do the work, and so that the final takers is the common people. The burning example is COVID vaccine. COVID vaccine that has been developed in a record time. This is the only vaccine that has been developed in a record, minimum period. So that has been possible because of PPP mode. So similarly, in the near future also, same thing is going to happen, and there is a need to this type of mode, PPP mode, that we need to improve further. So and I appreciate you have done a very good presentation, and that is very much relevant for the institute, for the private sector, for the common people, for the society, and so on and so forth. So thank you so much once again.
Thank you, sir. And I really like your open, frank opinion about all these things. And one thing I would like to clear here, World Organization for Animal Health is primarily dealing with the animal health and welfare issues worldwide. And we are working with our 182 members, and anywhere we are working, we are connected with the country through delegate. So wherever any delegate or any country is interested to, or any member is interested to intervene, so we are working on that aspect through PVS pathway, and it's a very good capacity building pathway. I have shared that link with you all, and in that, all the elements what you mentioned, like about workforce development, about diagnostics, about One Health aspect, even the training component, and recently added this PPP. So with that we can assist, but anything if it is requested or requested by the delegate of the country. So we are here to support our all members, and that's our organizational position. And what you mentioned very clearly, in country like India, which is growing very fast and all the dimension is working. So I came across, like you mentioned about 2000, like 12 years. So I was as a first business manager of this unit. We were working on the ICR guidelines, and there was a chapter 10 on PPP, and they clearly defined it. But it was primarily on research and development because it was from ICR, and it was covering all the elements of agriculture and allied sciences. So I think it's a very good point you mentioned. If your organization or CARI, if you can take the lead in development of something like PPP in poultry domain, that will be really helpful because you are doing good job and you can share your experiences with the wider world. So that is my take, my point on your issue you mentioned. And as you mentioned, like in India, we have multiple organizations working in this space. And in ICR also, they had Agri Innovate. In other department, they have BIRAC and DBT. And recently, I came to know there is a Manthan initiative from the PSA office. So many things are happening. It needs to be streamlined in the country itself. So I cannot say much on that, but I think you all are on the right path, how to best move forward. And where we can assist any member country, and including India, if it is mentioned by the delegate to us. Thank you very much for these questions and opportunity to interact with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rahul, for accepting our invitation and giving a wonderful talk. And around 60 participants have joined on Zoom, and around 50 or 60 on YouTube. So it's a good talk, and more participants will be benefited. And as far as participant is concerned, sir, around all part of the country, there are participants from Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab, Northeastern, Bhubaneswar, Odisha, southern part, all part of the countries. Delegates from all part of the countries have joined this webinar. And Dr. Mishra has raised the hand. Sir, please ask anything. Dr. Mishra.
No, by mistake it went.
Oh,
I
okay,
wanted to make a thumbs up.
Okay,
so nice. So nice to have beautiful topic.
Thank you all the participants for your valuable time. And I also thank our director, sir, for giving his comments and valuable time, and blessing with all the participants. And thank you all for joining the participants. I also thanked our IT component, Dr. Leslie and Dr. Rao, for providing link and all the things related to this webinar. I'll thank all the delegates and all the participants who have joined this webinar. And we will meet again by next week with another topic, relevant topic on any relevant issues. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Rahul, once again. Thank you.
Thank you.